really, if you are in service, the idea of packaging what you sell is very important.
Coffee's for closers only.
So we've established my proposal is sound in principle. Now we're just haggling over price.
Let's see how much we're going for on eBay.
Man, it's the same as Dunkin' Donuts. Costs 15 times the price.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Jennings Executive Search. I had a great conversation with John Jennings about the skills needed in different pricing roles. He and I think a lot alike. If you're looking for a new pricing role, or if you're trying to hire just the right pricing person, I strongly suggest you reach out to Jennings Executive Search. They specialize in placing pricing people. Say that 3 times fast. Welcome to Impact Pricing, the podcast where we discuss pricing, value, and the dependent relationship between them. I'm Mark Stiving, and our guest today is Gabriel Dabi-Schwebel. Here are 3 things you want to know about Gabriel before we start. He is the founder and CEO of SalesDeck, an online sales communication tool. He is the founder and CEO of 130, a French inbound marketing agency. He's the founder and CEO. Well, actually, I think he's had a job as an employee for a total of 2 years in his entire life. Besides that, he's founded and started companies. Welcome, Gabriel.
Welcome, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's going to be fun. So first off, how did you get this entrepreneurial bug where you've never really worked for anybody?
I think it's really surprising, and my parents were the most surprised of all because they are French fonctionnaire. How do you say that? Working at the government and working for a government organization. So they didn't breed an entrepreneur, but I became an entrepreneur even after good studies in France and good studies that should have made me someone from the corporate world. And I never liked it. So I really decided from the start to create my own business.
Nice. Well, I'm jealous, right? I've done 3 companies in my life, but I think you've done like 10 more than that.
Well, so, maybe not. Maybe 6 or 7 in total.
So how did you get into pricing? How did you get involved with pricing?
I think that pricing is really at the heart of entrepreneurship, because at one time you need to price what you do, what you sell, what you create. And it's really a marketing aspect that is very interesting, because with pricing you can make your revenue even bigger without working too much. So it's really important to find the right price and to be sure that you sell it, that your price you choose is really the closest to what the customer are ready to pay, and the ones that make you the more value and the more money in your pocket. And during my 1 year of employment within Alcatel, it was about 25 years ago, I used to work on pricing in telecom, and it was with a professor from the University of London that has invented at this time a tool to price mobile phone communication. And he was working before into the oil industry, and his tool was used for the when you go to the gas pump and you price the gallons of oil at a different price depending on the distance from the other gas pump and the place you are and stuff like that. So he made a model for gas, and he moves the model to the mobile industry. So it was really the first time that he gave me theory on pricing also, with the usage curve and value curve.
So that was the moment where you realized pricing was really important?
Yeah. And I was lucky because it was early in my career. So all along, I really always thought about pricing, not like just a subtopic that you need to find a price and what is the best price, but always thinking, until what, and what could be the limits where I can make the price higher and still be accepted.
Nice. And so I wish I'd learned that early in my career too, because for me, I was a salesperson, horrible, didn't understand pricing. And I think most of us learn it later in life with some big experience that happens. Now, when I asked you, what did you want to talk about today? What would be interesting? You mentioned service packaging, and we had a chance to talk for just a couple minutes before we hit record. And I love the way you described what you're doing in your 130 marketing company. Can you describe that to the listeners so that they can get up to speed with where we are?
Sure. 1 Minute 30 was the first inbound marketing agency in France. I started it 10 years ago after discovering HubSpot and inbound marketing and coming back from the media industry. And at this time, I had to learn everything about marketing and service, because my other venture was more in consulting, but selling only myself and SaaS industry and jewelry. But it was the first time to start really a service company. And then first I worked on marketing, since it was what I was selling. And then I worked on sales, and I was very bad in sales. So I had to learn sales, and selling is very special when you sell service. And what I love about this learning was really to package my offer and trying to make the selling the less heavier, because when you are in service, preparing for sales could be very long, because every project are different and you need to specialize them. And I don't want to do that. And it's too costly to make a dedicated response to every leads and so on. And the idea was really to package the beginning of my offers. And in order to package them well, I'm starting every project with workshops and action plan. And to package this workshop and action plan. Yeah.
Gabriel, I want to pause you for just a second, because I think the point that you just made was really valuable, and I want to emphasize it to everybody. And I think what you said, you didn't say these words, but I'm reading between the lines, is...
Yeah, but your English is much better than mine.
A lot of people who are selling services essentially walk into a potential buyer and say, what do you need? I can do anything. And it's really, really hard to A, sell that, and B, if they want to buy anything random, then you have to build some custom solution for that customer. And so you said, no, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to build some packages of offerings. And now I actually have something I can go sell. Is that accurate?
Yes, exactly. I start every of my project with, it's either 5 of the 5 books I have created. And each book, and you have them here, Acquisition Strategy Design is a book that gives a methodology to build your acquisition strategy based on collective intelligence. So we have developed the methodology with tools, canvas, to use for the first workshop. We have designed the way we present the acquisition plan at the end. And after that, we have a package, really 3 tiers of workshops with more consulting depending on each tiers, in order to have an action plan being designed for acquisition at the end of this workshop and action plan. There is the same type of book for brand. So we have brand strategy design, and we design brand action plans. There is one about customer experience, also to have some customer experience action plan. There is one about HR marketing. This is our 4th topic. And the last one is about sales process. And after all of them, and the price of each action plan, there is each time 3 tiers is 10,000, 15,000, or 20,000 euro. And after that, we at the end of the first assignment, we deliver a program that is also packaged.
Nice. And so what's the difference between the 3 price points? What if I were thinking about essentially you're creating good, better, best packages. What's difference in the 3 offers? It's
the time we spend with the customer and extension of the deliverables that we deliver at the end. So the first one is really the workshop and an action plan. The second one is more about having an audit before the workshop with interview with the customers, then the workshop and an action plan. And the last one is with the audit, the workshop, the action plan, and some more consulting to detail the action plan within the organization. And to provide action also for the customer within his own organization.
And out of curiosity, which one do most customers buy? The good, the better, or the best?
The one in the middle.
Always. I always like to ask that just to see if it holds true forever.
The
Nice.
one in the middle is the most sold. After that is the cheapest one. And at the end, the highest price point.
The high end one. Yeah. I could absolutely see that's true. And so where did you create your good, better, best strategy? Did that come from the Alcatel days, or did that come from reading other things?
No, it's come from reading other things, and I think you know Blair Haynes.
I know
who was
Blair.
my mentor about selling services, and he wrote a first book which is Winning Without Pitching, which is very interesting and learned me a lot about selling services and custom products. And what is interesting also is, yes, sorry.
I was going to say, Blair does a great job, especially for marketing agencies and the way he thinks and what he talks about. I love listening to him talk. He teaches something called a value conversation. And I have a version of value conversations in my newest book, Selling Value. I'm really curious. Did you learn how to give or how to have value conversations with clients? And do you do that today?
It's not an easy conversation to have, especially in France, where it's always difficult to talk about money. So it's always difficult to have really this value conversation and to help the customer project himself into success, especially when our customer are most of the time from large accounts, corporate accounts, and they are not directly the owner of the business. So it's really kind of difficult to have this kind of value conversation with them. They are more into what is the budget they have rather than what is the value they can get.
Yes. And so do you ever try to turn that personal, as in how do you get promoted? How do you look good inside your company in terms of value?
I think I tried, and this one is not easy too, I would say. It's very interesting, but it's really not easy. Because the idea of being promoted is very personal. And I'm not sure to have really succeeded in it.
Okay. I'm just curious on how these things work in the real life, in the marketing space. So nice. Hey, we're going to play a game, but before we play a game, let me just ask you the final question that I usually ask everybody. And that final question is, what's one piece of pricing advice that you would give our listeners that you think could have a big impact on their business?
Really, if you are in service, the idea of packaging what you sell is very important. And I packaged my introductory work with the action plans that I have showed you, but I also have packaged our program. So our program are more custom. So we do them after having done the first action plan. But those one are also packaged because we don't want to sell programs that are fixed and miss some agility. And in order to keep agility within the program, we have designed two value, which is the number of meetings that we sell and the number of points that we sell for each program. And meetings will represent the consulting part of a program, and points will represent the deliverables of the program. And you can convert all along the program your points into blog articles, into infographics, into videos, into marketing automation scenarios, whatsoever. But you keep the agility of it. So at the beginning of the program, you fix your investment, and following the project, you spend what you have bought with the help of your consultant. So you use your credit in meeting and your credit in points, and you keep the flexibility to have an action plan that really helps you and is not the action plan that you have designed 6 months ago. So really packaging things brings agility is very interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty creative as to how you did that. I was thinking throughout, as you kept mentioning the word points, a lot of companies in the US in the software business, SaaS, they sell credits. And so I was thinking the word credits. And so you could spend credits to buy different things. It's almost like tokens, yes, exactly, at a game location, right? At a game arcade. But that's a really nice way to say, look, we can still get a bunch of deliverables for you, but you don't have to decide right now what you want in terms of deliverables.
And what is really nice, it's at the end of the year, because you end your budget and stuff like that. You have companies that are buying credits without knowing what to do with that. But they need to spend their budget, so they buy you some credits, and later you see what you do with them.
Yes, it's like handing you money, saying, "Hey, next year you can do something for me."
Yeah, so, exactly.
Nice, nice. All right, hey Gabriel, we're going to play a game called Pricing Table Topics. I told you a little bit about this before we started, just so you didn't get shocked. But for our listeners, I have a deck of cards that I made up, and the impact pricing cards. On each card, there's a saying, one of the memes that you've probably seen me put out on LinkedIn. And what we're going to do is we're going to read one of these cards to Gabriel, and he gets to talk between 1 and 2 minutes on this topic. We happen to pull the 9 of clubs, can't really see it. And Gabriel, here's what it says. Be strategic, focus on lifetime value. You've got 1 minute.
Wow. What a topic. Lifetime value is really a key metric within SaaS, and SalesDeck.io is my last venture, is a SaaS product to make better customer meeting, better prepared, more engaging, and more documented customer meetings. And it's true that you want your product to have the biggest and the longest lifetime value. And there is 2 factors for that. The first one is the price, but the other one is churn, or is the period of time the customer stay with you. And it's really thinking about lifetime value is really thinking about what is the price being acceptable by your customer and the value you bring him, and also the fact that you keep bringing value and keep him loyal to your product. Yes?
All right. That was perfect, Gabriel. That was perfect. Thank you so much. And also, thank you very much for being on the podcast today. If anybody wants to contact you, how can they do that?
It's easy. You can find me on LinkedIn. I have 2 LinkedIn accounts, one for 1 minute 30, Gabriel Dabi-Schwebel, and the other one for SalesDeck. And you can also join me on SalesDeck.io, the website of our new venture.
All right. Episode 186 is all done. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, would you please leave us a rating and a review? Also, if you like this podcast, your pricing colleagues might too. Please help them find this. And finally, if you have any questions or comments about the podcast or pricing in general, feel free to email me, mark@impactpricing.com. Now, go make an impact. Thanks again to Jennings Executive Search for sponsoring our podcast. If you're looking to hire someone in pricing, I suggest you contact someone who knows pricing people. Contact Jennings Executive Search.